This is my complete prop firm risk management guide, and these are the exact same rules that thousands of traders, including myself, have already used to get funded in the fastest way possible. And in this video, I'm gonna explain you exactly what you need to do. Now, before you start following the rules that I'm about to explain you, there are a few things that you need to do. The first one is that you need to make sure to be profitable. What does it mean? It means that if you still haven't a strategy that is proven to be profitable long term, no matter how good the rules that I'm about to explain you are, you still won't be able to pass a prop firm challenge. So my suggestion is that if you're still not profitable, get access to a backtesting tool and start testing, start journaling until you are confident in your trading skill. Once you are sure that you are profitable, now you need to pick the right account size. And this is really important because if you pick an account size that is too big and maybe even too expensive compared to what is your current budget, you're gonna put yourself under a lot of unnecessary stress. Because for example, if you have a total of $1,000 in your bank account and you spend $900 to buy a challenge, you probably understand that you're gonna be under a lot of pressure, you're gonna be stressed because you put almost all your money on the line. So you need to buy a challenge size that make you feel comfortable. So in that example, if you have $1,000 in the bank account, maybe purchase a 100 or a maximum a $200 challenge. In this way, you're gonna be able to trade without too much pressure, and you're also gonna be able to take decision based on logic and not based on emotion. And connected to that, remember that you shouldn't aim to pass 100% of the challenges, simply because due to variance, sometimes even if you do everything correctly, you still might end up losing the challenge. And that's also why it is important to not put all your money on a single challenge, because if that's the one that you're going to fail, later you won't have any more money to purchase a new one. So always pick a challenge size that is low enough so that you won't have too much pressure, and also at the same time, in case you fail the challenge, you still have enough money to purchase a new one. It's also important to remember that you shouldn't aim to pass 100% of the challenge, and that almost nobody pass 100% of the challenges, so that in case you fail a challenge, you won't be too harsh on yourself, and you simply will understand that this is part of the process and part of what every traders that try to trade with prop firm is going to go through. So now that what you need to do before purchasing the challenge is clear, let me tell you what is the first approach that you can have. So the first one is the conservative approach. In this specific case, you're going to risk only 0.25% of your initial balance for every single trade, and this specific approach is basically a 100% pass rate if your strategy is profitable. And the reason is because if, for example, you have a challenge that have a maximum drawdown of 10%, with this type of risk per trade, you're gonna need to lose 40 straight trades in a row to fail the challenge. And as you can imagine, if you are profitable, if your strategy has proven to be profitable long term, this is probably not going to happen. But the cons of this conservative approach is that it's really slow and not ideal, simply because with a faster approach, it's true that you're gonna fail more, but you're also gonna reach more often a funded stage, and as a result you're also gonna make more money long term. So this approach is possible, and as I told you, if you decide to use it, you're probably gonna have a really high pass rate, but it's gonna take you a lot of time. So it's not ideal, but I think that it's right to include it in this video. The next approach, which is probably the most common and the one that maybe I recommend you to use, is the normal approach. So with this specific approach, you're gonna risk between 0.5 and 2% for each of your trade, and the exact percentage is calculated using this formula, and the formula is maximum drawdown of the challenge that you pick divided by 2 divided by the trades that you take on a weekly basis. So let's say, for example, that you have a maximum drawdown of 10%, you're gonna do 10 divided 2, which is 5, and then let's say that you take one trade a day or a total of 5 trades per week. Now you're going to need to do 5 divided by 5, and the result is 1. So in this specific case, you're going to risk 1% for each trade. And so, as you have seen, based on your specific strategy and on the characteristics of your challenge, your risk per trade is going to vary. The goal of this approach is stability and low risk. In fact, even if you are a bit more aggressive compared to the conservative approach, you're still pretty conservative overall, and so you're gonna have stability and low risk. And this is also perfect if you want to get your first payout. So if you're somebody that is not really experienced and you want to get to a payout faster compared to the conservative approach, but you still want to have a high probability of reaching your first payout, this is the approach that I recommend you to follow. Lastly, we have the aggressive approach. This should only be used by traders that have already received multiple payouts, so they are confident in their ability to trade and also in their strategy. For this specific approach, the risk per trade is going to be calculated using a formula, and in this case, the formula is daily drawdown minus 1% divided by the trades that you take per day. So let's say, for example, that your daily drawdown is set at 5%. You're gonna then take 1%, so we're gonna end up with 3%. And let's say that you take one trade per day, so you're gonna do 3 divided by 1, and so the result is 3%. So in this specific case, you're gonna end up risking 3% for every single trade that you take. So as you can see, with this specific approach, you're gonna be a lot more aggressive, and as a result, you're also gonna have a high fail rate. But on the other side of the coin, you're also gonna have a high reward rate, because risking, for example, 3% per trade, it means that if you end up doing a few trades in a row that are winners, you're gonna immediately get to the funded stage, and so it's gonna get a lot easier to request payouts. And my suggestion, if you decide to go with the aggressive approach, is to use small account size. The maximum should be $100,000, simply because with this specific approach you have a high fail rate, and so if you start purchasing really expensive prop firm challenges, you may end up losing a lot of money before you are able to recover them. By the way, talking about prop firms, in case you still don't know which prop firm you should use to trade, or maybe you are looking for a new prop firm to try, my number one recommendation, and also the prop firm that I use on a daily basis, is Ola Prime. And there are 3 main reasons why that's the case. Reason number 1 is because Ola Prime guaranteed to deliver payouts in 1 hour. In fact, thanks to a 10-point solid payout system that includes things like, for example, robust policies, cash on fund, compliance verification, risk monitoring, maker checker system, and swift execution, Ola Prime guaranteed that you're always gonna get paid in under 60 minutes every single time. And this is possible because they calculate the payouts at the end of every trading day, staying ahead, verifying compliance, and preparing the payouts in advance. So this means that as soon as you request a withdrawals, the payout is already ready and it just needs to be sent out. The second reason why I choose to trade using Ola Prime is because this prop firm has transparency at the heart of everything. And this is really important and something that a lot of prop firm and most importantly a lot of traders overlook. In fact, what happens, especially when you trade Forex, is that every single broker on every single prop firm that you use has a different quotes, have different prices, and sometimes this can lead to manipulation. And when it comes to prop firm, this is a huge problem because it means that even if you're doing everything correctly and you are trading following your strategy, if the price or the charts are manipulated, you might still end up failing a challenge. Well, with Ola Prime, this is not going to happen because, as you can see, they release a daily transparency report that basically show you what were the quotes on Ola Prime for a specific pair at a specific date and at a specific time compared to Dukascopy and 2 others leading broker. And in this way, you can see that the quotes that you get on Ola Prime were the same on the other institution. And in fact, at the maximum, there was an error or minus 0.01%. So basically, the quotes that you are getting when you trade with Ola Prime are the real quotes of the market, and so you don't risk being subject to price manipulation. The third and last reason why I trade with Ola Prime on a daily basis, because they are the only prop firm that give you access to one-on-one session with trading coaches completely for free. And if you're familiar with trading education and this type of one-on-one mentorship, you know that they can cost hundreds of dollars an hour. Well, if you decide to trade with Ola Prime, you're gonna be able to get access to this session completely for free. And currently there are 3 different coaches that you can pick. We have Richard, you have Tiger, and you also have Stanislava, and with them you're gonna be able to talk about things like strategic refinement, risk management mastery, real-time application, in-depth market analysis. And as you can see, if you keep scrolling down this page, you're gonna have access to the list of all the coaches, and by simply clicking on this book now button, you're gonna be redirected on their Calendly page, where you're gonna be able to pick the exact time and date where you wanna talk with them. So if you also would like to try Ola Prime and you also would like to try with this prop firm, you will find a link in the video description, and I'm also going to include a promo code that you can use to receive a discount on every single challenge with Ola Prime. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and until next time, happy trades!